Hello, and what's this week's Devil in the Detail podcast? I'm Rob Parkinson, and I'm here talking all things Salford Red Devils. Joining me in the show this week, our special guest, the big man in the big red suit, Santa Claus, hopefully bringing lots of goodies for all the Salford fans listening to this. St. Nick, looking forward to your busiest night of the year.
Ho, ho, ho. Yes, very much so. I can't speak with this. Can't speak. We all can't speak. Hiya, Rob. You all right, mate?
Paul, you okay?
Yeah, good. Yeah, yes. Yeah, well, we're getting there, aren't we, now, towards
We are.
Christmas. It's taken me a while to get into the spirit, but I'm there now. I'm just, it's creeping up slowly. So, but that, you know what that means? We're getting nearer the season.
This
So
is
certainly the friendlies and then the season. So, yeah, starts getting exciting again now, and it's been a bit of a drag recently.
It has obviously off season, dark nights, wet, cold. You sat there just looking outside, wishing February to come. Not long to go now. Parky, what have you been up to since we've done a podcast? We haven't done one for maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It's been a while.
I don't think I did the last one either. I think you and Paul did that. I think I missed that. Well, yeah, just DIY. I've got painted hands as it stands. We're still just finishing off a few bits in the house, so that's why it's taken me so long to get to Christmas. A few appointments here and there. I went to the 150th celebration. I was very lucky to get a ticket for that. Gifted, strangely.
Gifted.
Well, yeah, somebody who couldn't make it kindly donated it to me as a little donation. So that was nice. Yeah, so I went there and then I got COVID. So that laid me up for the best part of a week. And I haven't left the house since, I don't think. So it's but no, it's just been a busy time now. Like you say, build up to Christmas now. I've got to get some shopping done. Only a few days to go, but other than that, it's just been trying to follow the news, trying to keep up with what's going on in the game, and just sort of looking forward to the new season, trying to catch up on signings and that kind of thing. Those little bits you miss at this time of year because you let things slip a little bit. So it's good to catch up.
Yeah, I tell you, when you've not done a podcast for a while, the news just stacks up and things drop off when they aren't relatable now, or they go past the deadline. You think, oh, but yeah, been pretty busy. Dad's still fighting hard.
Yeah.
Christmas is coming. You know, kids, they love that this time of year, don't they? They're always like begging you for stuff and can't go shopping with them now because it's just picking up all the random stuff off the shelves in sort of Tesco and Asda. Can I have this? Can I have this? It's like, no. We'll see what Santa brings. Got a thing now. Modern technology now is I get him to pick up the toy he wants, and I take a picture of it with him rather than write a list. And then I put like a media file together of him with various different toys, and then send it to Santa as an MP4.
Very good. Very good. I like that.
Hopefully, Santa's device can read my MP4 and he'll get what he needs. Otherwise, I'll probably get an email back saying unrecognised.
He'll know. He'll have it all covered. Don't worry about that. He'll know.
Yeah.
As long as he's been a good boy, he'll get what he wants.
We've all been good boys, Park. It's whether we get what we want is the big question, isn't it? Really.
Speak to yourself on that
one. Other things, big breaking news today for us, Parky, is that we have been nominated in the Sports Podcast Awards. I talked about this a few weeks ago about us being asked us to be put forward to be in the competition, and we're in the best rugby podcast nomination with 12 other nominees. Parky, I know obviously we didn't win in the independent podcast awards, but it was still a great achievement for us, and obviously to now be involved in this one, it shows how excited we are.
Yeah, and I think this one's probably a little bit sort of better in many ways because it is solely about rugby. I know it's both codes and everything else, whereas the other one was a whole wide range of interests and people obviously will follow things more than rugby league because rugby league is quite a small thing in people's pastime, especially around the country. Maybe not so much in the north, but so this is a lot more focused on what we do, and it's great. I mean, some of the other competitors that are involved, are big names in the game, and it's just nice to be up there. I mean, we're just three lads. It's not, some of these other podcasts have a, slick technology all around them and producers and all sorts of things. You don't, the amount of work that sort of goes in, but with a team of millions, we're just three lads who just sit together and have a chat. It's nice to be there. I think it shows that there's a space for us, and we're just doing it as you would if you, it's like a virtual pub, isn't it? We sit down, we talk about, we discuss, we disagree, and that's the way it should be. We don't need all this slick, technology or anything like that. We'll just do it like this, and hopefully, people like it, and people do seem to like it. Sometimes I'm sure they get infuriated listening, but we just do it as mates.
Yeah, and the best thing is our listeners who are listening to this now, Parky, can vote for us to get into the final four. There's 12 podcasts. There's 3 other Rugby League podcasts, the Rugby League Outsiders, the 40-20 podcast, and the Bench with Jenna and John. So there's the Rugby League contingent. There's also BBC Scotland Rugby podcast, Bears Beyond the Gate, Cherry Jam, Happiness is Bruce Aitchison, us, Rugby League Outsiders, The Good, The Saz and The Rugby, ITV Sports Rugby World Cup podcast, the official Rugby World Cup podcast 2023, and the Rugby Pod. So really, there's only a couple of us. There's us, and I think it's Gloucester who are the niche in the race. But our listeners who support us by listening week in, week out, and have been on our journey for the last 7 years with us, opportunity now to vote for us and get us into that final four.
I mean, that'd be massive. Like you say, it's not for us. Considering some of them names, you just mentioned the BBC and ITV, and then the one that Jenna and John do. I mean, these are big things. These are professionally put together by corporations, by people who have money and do. For us to be involved in that kind of competition is amazing. But yeah, it'd be wonderful if we could. If we made it to that last four, I mean, that's a statement. That's a statement not just for us, and Salford Rugby League Club, which would stick us, firmly on the map again, but for rugby league in general. I think, if there's anyone tuning in who's not a Salford fan who just, catches up on Rugby League podcast, if you vote for any of them, give us all a go. Let's get Rugby League up there because, we're fighting a monster. Let's not forget that. And we're probably the tiniest of all of them. So we could do with all the help. So yeah, if people could take the time and just, give us a vote, and we'll see where it takes us. If we don't make the four, we're still in the 12. It's a bit like Super League. We've been to IMG, we've had a word. They've put us in the top 12. I'll do. We're not going anywhere. We're not getting relegated.
No.
That's how I'm thinking about it now.
So if you are listening, please vote for us. I'll put the link out on our socials. It's a couple of clicks and it's done. And then hopefully come, I think it's February time, we're in the mix for the top 4. So lots to go at, Parky, on the show. But I'm going to start with a little quiz for you. I rattled up a quick Christmas quiz for us to have a little go at. I'm going to start with this one. We have played on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and Boxing Day. Okay. We've played 11 games on Christmas Eve. Can you tell me how many we've won? Was it A, 10, B, 5, or C, 6?
On Christmas Eve?
Mm-hmm. And all our listening out there, rack your brain as well.
See, because of my sometimes negative view of my own club, and some of the teams that will have played on them days, because obviously it's not anything that's happened in the last 20 odd years, because clearly we don't. And I don't really remember us ever playing Christmas Eve that often. It was always Boxing Day, wasn't it? So this is going back. I suggest that our lads like teams of ours have liked a little tipple in the past. So I'm thinking perhaps they haven't performed as well as they should at Christmas Eve. Maybe not being as professional as some other clubs. So I'll go with the lowest. Did you say 6 was the lowest?
6. Well, 5 was the lowest.
5. Oh, 5. I'll say 5 because I think we're a bunch of drinkers.
And that's correct, Parker. We won
Hey,
5 games.
Logic. That's logic.
Next question. Christmas Day, we've played 40 games.
Wow, have we?
How many games have we won? Was it A, 20, B, 10, or C, 30?
Again, by my own logic, I shouldn't really go high. So I'll go with 10.
Correct. 2 out of 2 for Paul Parkin. Showing that some Christmas ghoul might be in your ear giving you all these answers, maybe.
Yeah. My assistant coach here, he's getting me through this. He's giving me some ideas. I've run out. I'm completely gone. It's that time of season now.
Yeah.
I've tried my best.
Boxing Day, we've played 66 times on Boxing Day. How many games have we won? Was it A, 40, B, 26, or C, 38?
See, now Boxing Day generally played a local rival, which would be Swinton, Oldham, Lee, Rochdale, probably. And I think on most of them, we've got a bit of a, probably a better record. But there will be times when we've played Warrington, Wigan, Saints, whatever. I'll go middle. You say 36?
38.
38.
Correct.
That's
3 out of 3.
That's just me using that kind of. It's one of the local teams, and the ones that we would probably play at that time of year are. I've been lesser lights for most of that period compared to us, sadly. But yes, it'd be interesting to see who we've played the most. I suppose Swinton must be up there for Boxing Day.
We can have a look. I can get back to you that next podcast, maybe, Parky. But a couple of interesting things that I found out. In 1898 and 1899, we played home and away and won both games. Who did we play? Did we play A, Leeds and Swinton, B, St Helens and Wigan, or C, Bradford and Halifax? We played Christmas Eve and Boxing Day and won them both.
Because Swinton are on it, I'll say Leeds and Swinton.
Not this time. Got it wrong. It was St Helens and Wigan.
Really?
We played St Helens away on Christmas Eve and won 13-2. And then we played Wigan away. No, we played St Helens at home on Christmas Eve and Wigan away on Boxing Day and won 13-5.
Wow, magic. Settle for them days.
So another one, 1899 to the 1900 season, we played Wigan on Christmas Day.
Okay.
And lost 5-3. Can you name a Salford try scorer?
1899, did you say?
Yeah.
The 1900?
Yeah, you would blow my mind if you got this one.
I'm going to have to go with... It'd be too early for him.
I'll give you a clue. One of them is one of our former chairmen. It's probably not him, but it's named after him. One of them, that's it. The other two I can't really help you with. That'd be a bit difficult, that one. Do you want to come back to that one?
Yeah, come back to that.
Okay. This isn't a question. This is more of a statement, right? This one. In 1903, we played on Christmas Day against a Yorkshire team and lost 9-0. Who did we play? Was it A, Halifax, B, Leeds, or C, Bradford?
Halifax.
It was Bradford.
Ooh, even
So
worse.
2 out of 3 at the moment, Parker.
Yeah,
Well, 3 out of 5 even. But what I'm thinking is Christmas Day, Odsal, December.
Oh God, yeah. I've been there on New Year's Day.
Mm.
That is a grim thing to have to do. I went
Yeah.
there. I think there was about 3,500, 4,000 people there. You can imagine how grim that really looked. Before the glory days of the Bull Mania and all that, you know, it was that was grim, and we got hammered. The 1900s thing is confusing me because I'm getting me players all mixed up now, and I would. So he played in. Did he play in 10 to 13? But not.
Oh, no, you blow my mind if you get this one. I'll move on to the next one.
I'll tell you what. Right, I'm gonna have a guess because normally I would go James Lomas at that point, but I'm not going to because I think he's a little bit later. Was it Dave Preston?
Not a try scorer that day. No. H. Hardwin, H. Earnshaw, and J. Wilkinson.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have got that.
But to be fair,
No.
3 out of 5 out. Well, 3 out of 5. Not doing too bad. Not doing too bad at all.
Okay.
Let's fast forward now to another game on Christmas Day, which was Broughton Rangers at home. We won 19-10. Can you name a Salford try scorer?
What year are we looking at?
1908.
I have to go with Lomas.
James Lomas, correct. And he kicked 4 goals as well.
Yeah. Legend.
Final bit of Christmas trivia, Parker.
Okay.
We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players born between sort of Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. Can you name them? I'll give you some clues.
I think I've got one because I think he's the same age as me.
Go on.
It's either New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, though. That's the problem. I might be wrong. So I probably no. I think he's New Year's Day.
Oh. I'll give you a clue.
I might. I mean, obviously, we're going over the whole history of the club.
Yeah. Rugby League Project is where I got the information. So if it's wrong, then it's not me.
It'll probably be spot on there. I'm going to say Nathan McAvoy.
Nathan McAvoy is one, yes.
Yeah. And who's a player who used to always celebrate at that time of the year? There was somebody, I'm sure in my lifetime, somebody else. Not like
so
the 80s.
I'll give you a clue. There's one who played on the wing for Salford, early 90s. There's one that's one of the best try scorers of all time. One that scored against Wigan in the Challenge Cup when we knocked them out. One that signed from Huddersfield, went back to Huddersfield, and he's a forward. And one who I think is kind of a youth product. I think he plays for Oldham now, or did play for Oldham at one point. I think that's him.
One of the best wingers. Well, the one
of all time.
The winger from the early 90s is quite intriguing.
More like, mid-90s. Early 90s, mid-90s.
Don't know that. I really don't. One of the all-time is, well, it's one of, I'm thinking one of 3. But it depends how far back we're going back. We're going back a long way. A long way.
Not a long way.
To
be fair, he scored He scored most of his tries probably against us than he did for us over the years, probably.
I've got a fire.
Yep, man of fire.
Yeah. Okay. Starting off here. I can't think who these players who'd come through the system who's older. Is he? I mean, I keep thinking like Adam Clay or someone like that, but obviously
I've got
older. But
it as Jack Spencer.
All right, Jack. Yeah. I think he's still knocking about, Jack. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good lad, Jack. No, Huddersfield to Huddersfield.
Huddersfield. I think he came from Huddersfield, stayed with us for a bit, went back to Huddersfield.
Not like Seb Ikehefo, is it?
Not him. Who came with him?
These modern ones are terrible, Rob. Ask me something about 1900. No, who came with him? Oh, my God. That is terrible. That is awful.
Tell you what's awful. I forgot his first name. That's awful. Carry on.
He's still knocking about?
I think so. Playing first division, maybe.
I can see him, but I can't think of his name. Oh, no, I'm getting old. I've got something wrong with me.
Okay.
No.
It's called it's Roberts.
Yes. Yeah, the tall lad.
Yeah.
The tall lad. He's still not doing it now.
Him. So you've got 1, 2 to get. One scored against Wigan in the Challenge Cup.
Scott Marty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the last one is Terrace Legend, played on the wing.
What are we looking modern times?
Yeah, 90s.
90s. Phil Ford.
Pat Senior.
Oh, was it?
Born Christmas Eve.
Was it? Well, it was a gift. It was a gift to Salford, I'll say that.
Yes.
Certainly a gift to the casino that I worked in at the time. Really, what a character. What a character. Was. Brilliant. Must be something about that time of the year.
Brings magic. Bring loads of magic.
Yeah. Oh, some great players there. Bit annoyed about the Roberts one, but I still can't. Yeah.
Andrew. Is it Andrew Roberts?
No, it's like it's Jet, not Jet.
Anyway, it'll come to us.
I remember him. Tall lad.
Yeah.
I like for us, to be honest.
So,
yes.
All the fun affair. That one, Parky.
Enjoyed that.
Now, news. So, Parky, we'll start with our IMG rating. So long ago. Now, just to remind everyone, we have received a B rating. We are 8th in the table of the clubs who have been judged in the IMG situation. I want to say my congratulations to everyone at the club who sort of worked hard to get us in this position.
It's a monumental effort. It really is, considering the clubs around us, the clubs are with great history and ones that tend to throw money at things and that kind of thing. To be in, to know that we're in, that's the main thing. It would take an absolute disaster, obviously, for us not to be in there now, but to be considered that way, the effort that's gone into that bid to prove, because you've got to evidence everything. It's not, you don't just say, oh yeah, we've got this and don't worry about that. You look what happened to Castleford. I think they finished like 14th or something, didn't they? If it stays like that, they won't be in Super League. Imagine, this is Castleford. I think they've only ever been relegated once or twice in their history. But absolutely brilliant. I was full of praise for the club at the time, and I still am. People have certainly recently have been very, very quick to have a go at the club. You sell all your best players. You don't do this. You don't do that. I'm a critic with everybody else. I'm not just going to back people up. But if I think the club have done something stupid, you know me. I'm not going to sit around and let it just pass. But to do what they've done, and to prove that we are one of the best run clubs, to clear as many debts as we possibly have, to keep ourselves our head above water, just we fight every single month. People don't realise how tough it is. It was, oh, why do we have to sell him? Why do we have to do that? this is for things like this, because we could keep Tyler Dupree, we could keep Brody Croft or Andy Ackers and offer them lots of money. We've still got to find that money to pay them. We go further and further into debt. Eventually, people come knocking on your door, and we wind up, we don't have a rugby league club. Now we've got a club that's running, on a shoestring. That's never changed in my lifetime. In 40 odd years, I've never known us be flash with cash. I know Q-Cash came in and made a million promises about my water park and stuff like that. It never happened. Things like that. But at the end of the day, these people have convinced an international management company that we are one of the best run clubs and most viable clubs in rugby league. So no pipe dreams. We've laid it all out. Everybody knows the crisis we've had with the stadium, with money, with whatever. Nothing. We don't hide anything like we have done in the past. This is all up front, and people don't like it. I know that. They don't want the truth. They don't want to know that. We might have got, I don't know, 180 grand or something for Tyler Dupree. How much wages do you think that pays, and for how long? It doesn't. It doesn't last. So we've gone along and we've kept our head above water. We pay the bills, and we've convinced people now that rightly, with evidence, that we're a top club.
Yeah, very exciting times. Just quick run through the scores. Fandom, we got 4.15. For performance, we got 3.45. For finance, 2.15. Stadium, 1.83. And community/catchment 2.25, which gave us a total of 13.80. Parky, I know 6 teams got the maximum score, the A grade, which were Wigan, Saints, Leeds, Catalan, Hull, and Hull KR. Obviously, they're the scores we need to aim for to make sure that we are in the Super League come 2025. But like you said, we are where we are now through pure hard work, through everyone behind the scenes who have gone through the ringer emotionally and probably physically, wondering and worrying about what was going on. And now we're in a situation where we are in the top 10. And as long as we continue to deliver and continue to increase our fan base and continue to reach out into the community and engage with people, there's no reason we won't be there when the IMG scores come in for real.
Well, there's another point here that the fandom thing is it's up and down. You get a bit of success, you get more fans. You don't. That's where we're going to really rely on what happens on the field. The other stuff is happening off the field. All right, performance thing, but there's a key here. The community engagement, right? I think we've not been scored highly enough for what we do. But, right, what is happening now, I believe, is that Salford Council, along with the club and the foundation and everything else, have set up a plan now to go forward with rugby league in the city. And I think they're approaching the RFL to have a meeting to tell them what's happening, what the plan is going forward. I think the idea is to get every school in Salford playing rugby league at some level, to assist the amateur club. I think there's a plan in place now that wasn't in place maybe when IMG were going through all this. I think once the council have met with them, give them a few guarantees, at that level will go up again. So our points will go up. We're not far off an A grade already. So that again will lead, will add us up there. Once we know we're in there, and if we can get an A grade, which means you're not getting relegated, you're not going anywhere, you're stuck in there now. That'll help the fans come in because you know what's happening. There's a bit of security there. It's not a couple of bad results and we're going. You can buy a season ticket knowing that next season be a Super League. So you could probably sell a 3 or 4 year season ticket in one go. You can do all these things that are opening up now, and I think there's things happening off the pitch and within the city of Salford that will push us further and further ahead.
Yeah, and I wonder how it'll achieve if we do. When we do, let's be positive. When we get into the IMG top 12, 10, how our mindset will change because as a club we're always hovering, aren't we? sometimes we do have good seasons. We get into playoffs and we get sort of to grand finals and stuff. But majority of the time, we're thinking get to 20 points, and then we'll see. But now, when we're in the IMG, doesn't matter. We can invest in our future. We can bring players through. We can become a better club.
And that, for me, is the big key, to bring players through. Right? So we lost Brodie Croft this year, right? And we're all panicking. Everybody's, well, what are we going to do? How are we going to replace? You don't replace too many great players. You don't replace Jackson Hastings. You get a player in, but not the same thing. But now what we can do, we can have a look around. We can have a look at the Championship, the second division, whatever. Have a look at the amateur game. Build from the academies. Have a look. And blood people. Bring them through. Give them a chance. Let's see. Because we're good at that. You know that. You know, what we've done with players. We've got them from the Championship. We've got them in the Super League. The Super League players now. They are out there. But clubs are too worried about taking a chance because that chance may not pay off. You're paying a guy, he's taking up a squad number, he's not good enough. You're dwindling at the bottom of the league. You could go out of the Super League like Wakefield did last year. Terrifying times for everybody. Now, we can invest in the future. We can think, well, it's not about next season or the season after. We're in the Super League, we're fine. What happens after that? How do we now progress as a club? How do we not just survive or make a playoff or a semi-final? How do we then become a full top six side? How do we regularly make finals? That's the strategy we've got to go on. And I will say, with Ian Blease where he is, whilst we've got the likes of Paul Rowley in the club, we've got two people there who are key to that and are probably better positioned than many clubs to get the best results going forward.
Yeah, like you say, everyone's pulling in the right direction. We've got round pegs in round holes. And, as a club, we are ticking all the boxes, which is great. There is obviously other aspects of it, the improvement, finance and stadium probably are areas which we do need to improve on, but they are areas which will take a while for us to grow.
And go hand in hand. If our rent goes up and we have to pay more, we have less money. If we're not getting any money from the bars, from ticketing, from the corporate side of things, if we're not making any money, we lose out. If we can get money from that, again, it goes back into the club. Them two things go hand in hand, and that is and has been the major stumbling block for us in recent years. If we didn't have that issue, I think, and I know where this is. We're going to go with this, but what I'm going to say is, just going back, if we'd have been at the Willows, right, and we'd have had the last 3 or 4 years of success that we've had, you would see a completely different club, because financially we would be so much better off, because we owned the Willows, right? The crowds would have been up. There's no doubt about it. The Willows itself, as in the variety centre, was always paying back into the club anyway. We were always taking money, I honestly believe if we didn't have these overheads that we have at the moment and the way we have to push everything, we'd be in a better position. Now, I know we're not. I know we're 11, 12 years on, whatever, and this is a different scenario. But I think it's been harder to build. It's like, they say, building on sand. That's the way it's been. Because every time we've got a decent run, we've still got to pay out for this. We've still got to do that, and we're getting nothing in return. That's been a huge problem for us, and we haven't been able to benefit from our own success.
Do you think, obviously, you say it would have been different when we were at the Willows? I'm not 100% sure that would have been right, because our move to the stadium, even though it's difficult because there's different things going on behind the scenes which affected how the club was being run. But if you were at the Willows with the home comforts and everyone's doing Bob a job, everyone's doing everyone else's job, would there have been the drive? Would there have been the fear factor of, if we don't start doing stuff here, clubs going under? Would we have got that at the Willows in our own home comforts?
I think.
Because I don't think would.
It would have needed new ownership, unfortunately. Anyway, like we do. John Wilkinson managed to fight everything for 30 years. Let's not forget that. You know, I mean, when licensing came around, let's not forget that terrible time. And we got a license, and nobody in rugby league wanted Salford to have a license. John Wilkinson and Dave Terry and people like that made that happen. We got a license for Super League. We were a Super League club. You know, we've always had to fight for things, and I don't think John would have still been in charge now. So somebody else would have had to come in. So times would have changed. People would have had to step up. People would have left, and we would. And no matter what, I mean, you look at Castleford and Wakefield, and their grounds and that kind of thing. They still had to become more professional as clubs, despite what's around them, because that's the way the sport has gone. It's no longer just 13 blokes on a pitch. It's a business now. It's different, and it has to be done differently. And I honestly believe that the Willows. I get told this a lot, but I try and defend it. I think it would have been more financially better for us. I think the crowds would have been higher. I do think that we could have progressed. And if we'd have got the kind of support, don't forget, when that stadium was built, it cost, 16, 20 million, whatever. If you'd have spent that on the Willows, it's all hypothetical, and I know that, and I understand that. I've got rose-tinted glasses about the Willows. Of course I have. I think we all have. But I do believe we'd be in a better place. However, we're not. We are where we are, and we're making the most of it now. And things, I believe, and there'll be hundreds out there now who are saying, I'm not buying a season ticket, I'm not going, I'm not doing this. I believe we could be about to turn a corner. That's the way I feel. Yeah.
And it's exciting. It has to be said, because obviously we've had a few years, haven't we, of doldrums, but, last couple, grand final, Challenge Cup final, playoffs finishes. Last year was a bit of a blip, didn't quite get there, but we've got things happening, injuries and stuff, not able to get there. But we've got Paul Rowley in charge. We've got a backroom staff there who are trusted, focused. We've got a group of players there who are very good, who are in my eyes good enough to be in a playoff every season if injuries, we don't get in by injuries and stuff like that. But it's exciting. It's exciting times to be a Salford fan.
Yeah, I think the other thing that people have probably not taken into account recently, when you look at the first team and the way it's been, last year, you say a blip, and I know we'll look back. I'm not sure it was. I think when you look at the squad and the other squads in the league, 7th is fine. 7th was fine. We wanted the playoffs, but 7th is good for us. We could, with the squad size and the injuries we had, we could have been Wakefield. So we weren't Castleford. We weren't fighting at the bottom. We at not very few points in that season did we think, oh, this might not go our way. We were confident and we were looking up always, and that's a big thing. That's progress for Salford. Let's not forget that. I mean, we've been there, we've seen it. We're always looking behind us, worried. We were looking forward. But the other thing is that now, and we mention it all the time, we have a ladies' team, right? We have the disability teams. We've got the reserves. Everything else we do from the club all costs money. That was something we never spent before. A couple of years ago, we had one team, a first team, right? All the money in that club, everything we got from sponsorship, everything we got from Super League, went on that one team, and they failed every year. Now, that money is spread a lot more. You still got to buy kits. You still got to get transport to the games. The coaches they put on for the ladies to go over to their games. It's not free. Nobody's giving it you. You've got to use your money wisely. Our club has grown massively, but our money hasn't. In fact, our money's probably gone backwards, if anything. but we're doing a great job with it. And that's why I think it just takes that one thing to click for us. And we're in place to go forward.
Yeah. Positive mindset, positive language. The CBS, which is the Reds Rise Again board, came out with a statement. They were delighted about what happened regarding the IMG, confident that the stadium decision will be successful and we'd get to where we need to be. And I thought it was a good statement. Obviously, we talked about letting everybody know what was going on, and they did.
Yeah. Well, that's the key. Communication is still a point we fail on sometimes at Salford, and I know it's not kept away from the fans on purpose, but sometimes some things have to be kept behind closed doors. We can't know everything. Just because you're a fan doesn't give you the right to know everything. On the other hand, they have been open recently. They have come out, and if the club actually told everybody exactly what's gone on in the last 2 years, it would scare you to death. It would. How close we've been to not being around, So what they're doing now is being open and upfront and telling us, look, this is what we hope is going to happen going forward. If this happens, that's where we're going to be. They're not secretly hiding things. They're not squirreling money away. They're not doing anything stupid like that. I don't think people realise how little money's in rugby league to start with. So I think when you look at it like that, I think they've done a really, really good job. And like they've said there, we just wanted to hear from the club to tell us where we were at, where are we starting from now? And in the past, that's never been the case. We've never found anything out. So there are still a few stumbling blocks there, still a few things that the club could do better. I think actually putting a positive spin on things at times is something they could try, which doesn't seem to happen. But other than that, on this thing, we should be shouting from the rooftops that IMG have accepted us.
Yeah, and obviously Paul King, at the top of the tree. He's done a fantastic sort of job motivating people, getting people round, all pulling in the right direction. Now, obviously, we read his statement where he was talking about what he needed from the council. He's talked about meeting the council. He's talked about meeting the RFL, meeting all different parties to try and get everyone together. And that's a sign of a good leader, that he's able to take time in that chaotic moment to say, look, this is where we need to go. And we followed.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I was very surprised with the statement he made regarding the council. I thought at the time, you generally don't tell councils and politicians what to do because they don't like it, despite the fact that sometimes they forget they work for us. But I thought the council could have took that, a little bit, took the hump and made it a little bit trickier. They didn't. They moved fast, so it worked. And whatever it was said at the time was obviously. And there was things going on in the background. We know there were, the council were working on certain things, and these things don't just happen like that. But I think it was just the kick in the pants that everybody needed, and we kind of got a result.
And that's the exciting thing. Obviously, we need to be able to continue in this vein. Obviously, with the stadium, it's an important aspect of the IMG, and I think it was a brilliant move by Paul King to position himself with these other people to say, look, this is on you. If this doesn't happen, I've done all I can. You need to do this. And I think that was a masterstroke rather than not talking about it. And what you say, what you like when councillors and MPs and that, they always just kind of like promise loads, then just deliver a little. But if you've got a motivator, a communicator out there saying, I want to do this, I want you to work harder for me, I need you to do this for me, everybody remembers, everybody knows, and that's why we're where we are, because he's kind of like, he's locked him in now, and that's the best thing about it.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly put a rocket up, let's say that. But I think we were quite lucky actually in some ways that the Mayor Paul Dennett is on our side. When he spoke at the meeting in the middle of last year, and he came out, he bought share, he'd done this, he put money into the club. He's fully behind everything. He wants it to work out, and there were people in his own council who didn't, who were against doing anything to help the club in many ways. And he stuck his neck out and said, I think this is the right thing to do. And I think we were lucky to have him on our side. So he took the bull by the horns, and along with Paul King has moved it on, and we're now hopefully in a position where things can get better.
Yes, exciting times. Just need to hold our nerve for that little bit more, and we'll get where we need to go. Talk about players going, Parky. Matty Unsworth has gone to the Crusaders. He was reserve team player of the year last season. Opportunity Club gives opportunity, but like you said before, if we were in this IMG cycle and it was 10 years down the line, he may have been given opportunity and blooded into the first team to see if he can reach Super League level.
Yeah, again, I'm a little bit disappointed, especially the fact that our squad is so small that we're letting so many players leave. Even if they were just going to be fringe, they're there, aren't they? They can step in. You know, who's the lad who's just gone from Whitehaven to London?
Josh Rock.
You know, I mean, another one. London think he's okay to be in the Super League squad. You know, I trust the people who are running the club. Of course, they do, especially the rugby league side. They know this stuff. They know a lot more than I do, but. It's like, you know, obviously we had Jack Stevens and people like that moving on, and now Matt. I wish him all the best. You know, again, yeah, really, really good talent, really good player, but there's obviously financial constraints as to why certain players can't stay, and he needs his chance, I suppose. And who knows? Like so many players, he may end up coming back. You know, it seems to happen quite a bit at the moment. But you need to get out and get experience. Is he going to get experience this year in the Super League? Like we said, probably not. He might have got 1 or 2 games, maybe something in the cup if we'd have got a fairly, you know, routine tie. But there's no guarantees for the lad. He can go off now, build his career, and hopefully make him a better player. And he can, you know, he loved his time here, hopefully, and he can decide to come back one day.
Yeah, it shows the great job that Stuart Wilkinson has done as well. Obviously, the class of 2021, 2022, lots of players now playing in Championship. Josh Rock playing Super League. It shows that our pathway is working.
Yeah, it's just a shame we can't have an academy, isn't it? Imagine what we could do. Yeah, this is the crazy situation we're in now with all this, especially now with IMG. You think they'd step in and say, you know, you have to have an academy in Super League. That would be my starting point, I would have thought. I mean, I think we're still in a bit of a privileged position as we are, because yes, we've got Wigan, Leeds, Saints, you know, Warrington all on our doorstep sort of thing. But you go the other way. You go over to Oldham and Rochdale. You know, they've got teams there, but rugby league hotbeds. And then you've got the, you know, Trafford and Greater Manchester, the athletes, people who want to play sport. We could go and pick them up, give them a chance in an academy, give them a run, and let's see where we go. We're missing out, I think, and we're missing out on a generation of players. But you imagine what we could do. I mean, we did it before with Sneedy and Theo Farge and people like that who all came. Niall Evans, you know, all these lads who came through. Jordan Turner and Stephen Ratchford before that. We can produce players. We just need a bit of help doing it and the chance to do it. And this is what's happening. They're going into the reserves. They're hitting a point now and they're going, well, I don't want to be in reserves for another 2 years. I need to go and play. And if I can't play it, I've got to move. So, yeah, they're slightly disappointed to see the lads go. But I hope, you know, I hope they really just go on and blossom and remember that, you know, it's where we started.
Yeah. Another departure. Ken Seo has gone back home. Compassionate Grounds on his Insta talks about how much his family means to him, and that's why he's going home. 5 years at Salford Parky, 102 appearances, 78 tries, 13 goals. Was Super League's top try scorer in 2021. Played was in the Samoa squad for the World Cup and was part of our grand final team in 2019. Tremendous winger for me, a real try scorer, and I think the best thing about it was he didn't make many errors. When he made an error, you were like, oh, he dropped the ball there. He don't do that very much, and that shows. Yeah, people talk about his try scoring, people talk about his pace, but I think some players are great because they're very consistent, but they've also got that ability to go up a level, and that's what I think Ken Seo did.
Yeah, I was. I was devastated that day when I heard he was going. And I'm not joking. That's not a, you know, it's up there with the Jackson Hastings level for me. He's a modern day legend. I don't like saying legend in terms of, you know, we're not talking David Watkins and people like that. What he did for us in the time he was with us was absolutely unbelievable. We were a team. Yeah, the last couple of years we've thrown the ball about, we've scored tries, whatever. Before we never know. Our wingers never top try scoring levels. They're never up there. You know, some of our players, they all sort of score about the same. Every year consistently, Ken Seo scores a lot of tries somehow. Sometimes, I mean, some of his interception tries and all, his brains, the way he thought about the game. And the big thing for me was I listened to Dion Cross talk about him and the way he helped him. Now, bear in mind that Dion Cross was a winger and now plays centre. And Ken Seo talked him into how to be that player that he is at the moment. He gave him that support every day at training. He helped him a little bit more because he's played alongside good centres. He knew how the game, he knew what he wanted from a centre. So for a guy switching position, and you know, early days of his Super League career, Ken Seo helped him through that. And then Dion Cross is playing for England Knights. You know, it's things like that you don't see that go on in behind the scenes in training. You ask any player in our squad, and I'm sure every single one of them's got nothing but respect for Ken Seo and great words for him. An entertaining, a character, you know, a really nice, a family man. And as he's proven, you know, he's missing. We will miss him. I don't know where the Salford Roosters will miss his lads, the under 8s, because they were two really keen players. And our ladies team will miss Vicky. So, you know, as a family, they bought into what Salford was. And I know a couple of years ago, Ken had a chance to move. He could have left us. And he was talked out of it on a couple of fronts, one of them being Vicky, saying stay at Salford. She liked it here. Before we had a ladies team, she loved the environment, the way everyone treated everybody. And Ken, again, he gave that back. You know what I mean? It wasn't, he knew he was loved at Salford. And why would you want to go anywhere else? They might have offered him more money, but he stayed. And I've got nothing but good words for Ken Seo. And I am absolutely devastated. I just wish him all the best for the future. And who knows? I mean, he might crop up somewhere over there having a game. You know, keep his hand in. But he's a loss to Salford, and I think he's a loss to Super League.
Yeah, obviously, you know, good luck in whatever comes next, Ken. And like you say, he'll always be a Red Devil to us. Arrivals now, Parker. Chris Hankinson signed. Yeah. Centre.
Yeah.
Goal kicker. Played for Wigan. Played for Featherstone. Opportunity Club gives opportunity.
Well, he was one of our academy players in the first place.
Yeah.
It's gone full circle now. He's 30 or whatever. Yeah, look, it'll be useful as a great sort of. I don't know how we're going to set up this year. We've got a lot of players who seem interchangeable in them positions, in centre, winger, you know, and it's kind of, I'm not sure how we'll go with it. But he's going to be very useful for the squad. Very useful. His goal kicking's really good, which obviously we've got Mark's need. We don't generally, but, you know, if he's not playing, we relied on Ryan Braley last year, didn't we, a couple of times? And I know Ryan's not dead keen on doing it. So, again, he steps into that. But he's got experience. You know, and he's been, when he was at Wigan, he'll have learnt a lot. You know, you don't play at Wigan, you don't train at Wigan if you're not good enough. So he'll know all that. He'll come back now, and he'll probably see this as, and I don't mean this in a bad way. He's only 30, but as a last chance, a last crack at Super League, perhaps. You know, he's going to have to make this work. He's got 2 years. By the time that's over, is anyone looking for a 32, 33-year-old centre? So this is his big chance now to shine and show the potential that he had a few years back when Wigan signed him. You know, Wigan weren't going to sign him just for the sake of it. They wanted him to be a first-grade player. And
like you said, it's unfinished business because he was in our academy, and that's probably coming back. And like you said, opportunity. And I always think there's always somebody who breaks in to the sort of the main team every season where you don't expect them to become a shining light. And I think he possibly could be because, like you say, it's unfinished business for him.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is the competition there. Obviously, you've got Tim Laffey, Nene MacDonald, Dion Cross, and now Chris Hankinson. I mean, that competition alone keeps players, you know, on the toes. And if you're not playing well, You're out. He's in. You've got a ready-made replacement, no matter who it is. If Chris starts the season and Dion Cross is breathing down his neck, or somebody else, it's a good position to be in. There are positions in our squad where we're not anywhere near as strong as that. Our centres, I think they look really good, and I think we'll benefit. And I think what Chris will bring is experience, a lot of experience, and know how getting around. And I'm sure Paul Rowley have done his checks. Ian Blease will. They'll know he's a good character, good to be in the squad, because that's the one thing that we do have. You see the sort of camaraderie between the players every year for the last few years. They all sort of get on really well. So he's got to fit into that, and I'm sure he will.
Yeah, another new signing, Parker, Joe Mellor, experienced halfback / hooker, played for Lee, played for Widnes. Had a good season with Lee last season. Obviously, with the departure of Andy Ackers, opportunity for him to get a starting berth there.
Possibly. I did look, though. I don't think he played hooker at all last year.
You know?
No, I think he was halfback all season. No, I'm a little bit confused by the signing. I like the lad. He's a decent player. Don't get me wrong. That's not where I'm going with this. But we've brought in, we've got Cuss from Wigan. We've got Mark Sneed. We've got Chris Atkin. 3 halfbacks. And now we brought in a 4th. Now, I know you want someone, you might go hooker, or we might put Chris Atkin up. They're not hookers. It's not their, you know what I mean? They'll play there, but they're not that. It kind of confused me a little bit. I'm not, the lad himself, yeah, I've got no problem at all. I just don't know how they're all fit together. And do we need an actual hooker instead of, you've still got Amir Burra to come into the team. We've signed Shorrocks from Wigan, who's played hooker a lot last season. I'm a little bit, I think, I worry a little bit that this signing, like a couple of us, are just signings because they're available, not specifically aimed at playing a position. And I know we need numbers in the squad, because I'm not being funny. There's more people in this room than there is in our squad, I think, and there's only me. So we do need players, but we need props. Definitely. We could have done with a hooker. There's a little bit, of play still to be had. And obviously we've lost Kenny Co. I know we've got Ryan, Naney McDonald can go on the wing if you need, or Cross, but we could be losing Budgie. We don't know what's happening there with that. That's all up in the air at the moment. Maybe another winger. I don't know. It doesn't seem like a targeted signing to me. It seems like he's come available. We'll have him. I remember us doing it with Martin Moan. He came available, and Carl Harrison signed him, so Lee couldn't sign him when we were in the First Division back in 2003. We signed somebody, so somebody else couldn't sign them. And it kind of like, yeah, but why? So as much as I like Joe, and he'll do a great job, and who knows? I mean, Cust may have to go into hooker, because he could play there, and you play Joe Mellor at halfback. There's Chris Atkin going here. I think he's been shifted about a little bit too much, Chris, and I hope he doesn't get upset, because he is a fantastic character and an even better player. But I just worry a little bit that he seems a bit disjointed.
It'd be interesting to see how Paul Rowley squares that circle, because, like you said, Cade Cust and Joe Mellor. Cade Cust's about 4 inches taller and about 3 stone heavier than Joe Mellor. So are you going to have is he looking at keeping the Brodie Croft defensive steel, when I think that Cade Cust will bring, because he's a bigger unit out wide, or will he want to put him in at hooker to try and put a bit of oomph in that pack? But I've watched both of them on YouTube. Obviously, YouTube's the #1 scouting tool for many podcasters, including me. And both the highlight reels are very sort of second man, third man, running at an edge. None of them are running in the centre of the field, which kind of worries me, because I think to myself, if you're being a hooker, you need to be comfortable in that area.
The thing is, we're talking about defence. I mean, there's probably no bigger defensive position on the pitch than the hooker. The amount of tackles that somebody like a James Roby would do, or a Danny Houghton at Hull, or you think back to Mark Alker and Peter Edwards and whatever. If you're a hooker, you defend. That's what you're in the middle all the time, and it takes a lot out of you. So you've got to be prepared for that. And Chris Atkins said, he liked playing there because he's always in the action. He's absolutely knackered.
Yeah,
you've got to be ready to do that, and I'm not sure either of them two will be. Especially Joe being 32, 33 soon. Does he want to be doing that? No, not really. So it is interesting, but yeah, I've got no problem with the signing in that way. I just think if we're running low on cash, could it be focused somewhere else? I don't know. I don't know what the lad earns. I've got no idea. He might be on 20 quid in a big orange. I don't know. But at the end of the day, it just seemed a bit strange. And be careful trying to get all your stuff off YouTube. You could end up with Chris Borghese.
That's it. Back in the glory days, that's how we used to scout players. Now it's just a podcast.
Yeah.
So good luck to both. Lots of opportunity now to take your career and the Salford Red Devils team and club forward. Talking about things going forward, Parky, the Rising Star Rugby League Development Pathway starts again in January. Year 10 and Year 11 pupils are able to play in that Rising Star Development Pathway. Very exciting times.
Yeah, it's been a decent success, hasn't it? I spoke to people who've been involved or have had kids involved in it and that sort of thing, and they've loved it. And it is. I mean, it's as good as we can do at the moment. We don't have. I know it's called a pathway. We don't really have a pathway as such. But what we're doing is we're giving these kids a chance to show what they can do and just get involved as well. That's not, but it gives them a chance and something to aim for, some good coaching, to bring on the skills. And you will find there that 2 or 3 of every lot will always stand out and be, just be that good. And from that point on, even if they go back to their amateur club and do whatever, you keep an eye on them. You've got that contact. And it does, and hopefully in a couple of years' time, we get an academy or whatever, the scholarship and everything else, and they can come through that way. It's brilliant what they do. It is. And like I say, I've spoken to people who are involved and have been involved, and they've got nothing but good things to say about it.
Yeah, and like you said before, with the council and the club and the foundation, sort of building this process that these kids go through to reach, the first team. And it won't happen overnight, but if we can keep it together and we can build on it and put the layers in it and put quality into it, 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, we could be bringing through real quality youngsters.
Yeah. I mean, the rugby league strategy that the council, I think, are putting together is going to be key for us now, and this is, this will be part of it. It's what you do. What we don't want to do is do all this hard work now. But once this is over, where do these kids go? What happens? In 2 years' time, if they've just been forgotten about. So we need, it's an ongoing process now. But this is it's a good place to start. It's a good age to start as well. You start seeing sort of where the talent's coming through at that age. You can be too young, or someone could just be bigger than everybody else and look brilliant. But it starts to even out a little bit. You get to see the skills. I've seen it myself through watching my nephew and things like that, how they develop. And it does. It's frightening the pace that it happens, but it's about that time. These years where you can now look and go, yes, I think you could be the next thing. We're going to have been doing this for years, and that's a model to try and follow.
Yeah, let's move on to the supporter trust. They're now running the official travel for the club. Pick-up points in Eccles, Dog and Partridge, and the stadium. Parky, obviously, a lot of people now use away day travel. I remember when I started going watching Salford away, we never had a bus, so I had to go on the train. That was how I got to away games back in the glory days. But I think it's great now that supporters trust are doing that, and hopefully it'll continue to grow and grow.
Yeah, well, I remember the Fields End coaches. I'm a bit older than that, aren't I? They happy days. And then we went through a period, like you say, of not having any transport at all. And then there was coaches. There'll be people listening now who'll remember this. I think once we went to Sheffield, and halfway across the motorway, the floor of the coach came up. That's the kind of quality we were using at the time. But But the last few years, I'm one of them that uses it. I use it virtually every away game now. Go to the Dog and Partridge, get the bus from there. It's good. You get a bit of a build up of an atmosphere as well. All the fans get to know each other, and because we've missed that, we have missed that. There's no real get together as such with the fans on a match day these days, because obviously you head to the Willows or to the the Con Club or wherever you went, but you had your own little base. I don't think it's the same now at the new stadium, obviously. So the away days for this is good. 2 pick-up points. I have spoken to Dennis Riley. I had a brief chat with him, and I'd like to take it further if we could. I know it's an expense thing, but is there nowhere else in the city we could set up a pick-up point? You've got to head to Eccles to get there, and maybe back in the heartland, a bus from Weast or the Height or where Hope, something like that, just to help people a little bit, because obviously you've got to get there and then carry on. So, but brilliant of the trust to be doing it. I'm not trying to heap work on them or throw money on them or anything like that. It's great that they're doing it, and they've taken that away from the club. It's it's a little less stress, and it's been great the last few years. So yeah, I'll keep using it anyway.
Yeah, it says no double deckers. Don't know whether that's buses or chocolate bars, and more information due in the new year. So it's exciting times. Obviously, like you say, you've used it quite a bit, and hopefully it'll continue to grow and grow in 2024. Talking about the supporters trust, they raised over £43,000 in 2020 for Parky. A tremendous effort there, giving money to the pathway, buying new equipment, sponsoring ladies player Kate Gary. Lots of important things going on as well behind the scenes there, and it's great that they raised that money.
It's an unbelievable amount of money, isn't it? And they do this every year. We're talking. I don't know how much they must have given over in the last 3, 4, 5 years. I'm sure Shirley or Alan or Phil or whoever, Natalie, one of them could update us on that. In the last 2 or 3 years, you're banging on over 100 grand just being donated. This is on top of, don't forget, last year's sort of share issue as well. These people are putting the money in. This is added on to that. But this goes to foundation, and the bottom line, where it's hard, like I was saying before, about finding things for the learning disability team, and then or the ladies team, and then they've gone out and bought exercise machines for the first team to use, or things that have been broken and they've got them fixed. They've paid for that. And then once again, it's a very small group of people raising a hell of a lot of money. The work they do is brilliant, and you can't fault them. And they put events on 2, 3, 4 times a year, and then they'll love. The Dog and Partridge again comes into it with we get players. They get players down. We interview them, and it's great because that interaction. Again, I say when we're at the Willows, you could have that. Forever Reds meetings used to be in the Willows, and we can't do that anymore. We haven't got that facility. And now these are doing that. They're getting people together. They got Jackson Hastings down, didn't they, for his farewell, and then we had Kenny and Vicky last season. We had Brody and a few others earlier that year, Sam Luckley, and it's brilliant. You get a chance to speak to the players and see them, and these are doing all this in their own time. No one's paying them. It's just what they do for the love of the club and for the fans. So everything they do, we need to try and support them.
Yeah, obviously very important for you to join the Supporters Trust. Gives it, strength in numbers. Obviously brains as well. Obviously everyone has their opinions, has an opportunity to pass ideas on. And that's the important thing. I think obviously Supporters Trust will announce how much it is to join again in 2024. But if you listen to this podcast, I would urge you to join the Supporters Trust and back them and try and attend all the events. And even if you can't, try and do the sponsor a try. I think they raised over £4,400 for that. Obviously, make sure if you do the sponsor try, you keep up to date, because if you miss a few weeks and Salford puts 60 on someone like Wakefield, then it might be a bit of a scramble then to get some juice.
Yeah, I think a few people have fell into that trap, haven't they? I think Hull away last year, I think people were coming back on the coach thinking, oh my God, what have they done here? I think you should have been absolutely buzzing. We just put 60 on Hull away. Instead, they were going, how much is this going to cost me? It was an expensive day, that. It's a simple idea. I mean, still takes organising. You know, you got to collect the money. You got to make sure you keep on top of who owes what. You got to do all the maths and everything else. And you know, somebody has to do that in their own time. And I know through just working out man of the match things every week how difficult, stupid things like that are. So yeah, no, brilliant. I'm just full of praise for him, and it's, you know, it's those small bunch of people who just are basically the lifeblood of what we are at the moment.
Yeah. They've also got an event scheduled for the 2nd of February at Pendleton Social Club on Bolton Road. You've got a comedian and you've got a singer, and you've got Andy Steele as a DJ. So that sounds like a cracking night out. Obviously just before the season starts as well. Exciting, obviously, opportunity for fans to get together and toast the 2024 season in.
Yeah, it's a nice place, that nice room and decent club. So yeah, I'd urge everyone to get down there. Like you say, it'd be a nice way to try and kick off the season, if you like. Get everyone together. Let's try and get a bit of enthusiasm. You know, with like-minded people. There's been a lot of negativity, and there still is. But it'd be nice to put all that behind us and just build for the season, and, you know, have a little natter, and you can have a little moan or whatever. Let's be honest, I do it enough. But yeah, and it should be a great night.
Yeah, it's £5. Contact the Supporters Trust or Shirley or anyone who's involved in the Supporters Trust, and they will point in the right direction. Other news: Paul Rowley and Krishna Inu are in America at the moment doing a tackling workshop with American players. Seeing it on Krishna Inu's Insta, him nailing American players into a big mat, and Paul Rowley kind of pushing them off the mat. But yeah, I think it's great that, you know, we're giving back to players in America. They're like a development country. We've got the link up with the Copperheads as well, which is exciting, and hopefully we'll see, you know, the fruits of that labour, you know, 2 or 3 years down the line when these kids are coming through and they are, you know, thoroughbred rugby league players.
Well, I mean, I mentioned before, you know, about, so you look around Greater Manchester and the athletes that are available. Can you imagine what's over there? You know, they go through obviously college and everything else. A lot want to be American footballers or baseball players or basketball players or athletes or whatever, but they're all sort of bred that way, aren't they? There's an aim to what they do. But not everybody's going to make at their sport. There is an opening there, a massive opening for rugby league if it could be exploited. And we're in there. And not only are we sort of positioning ourselves quite well, we are, you know, teaching them about rugby league. We're doing the work for rugby league, and also spreading our name, getting our name out there in the world. People may turn up at one of these sessions and go, I don't know anything about rugby. I don't know anything about Salford. I don't know where it is, what it is. Straight away, you're on the internet these days. You can find out everything you need to know. They then know about us, whether they care, whether it goes any further or not, or whether they decide, like many of us do, you'll have a team in a different country. You know, you might have a favourite football team who play in Australia or something. You're like, no reason why, you just do. You know, and that could happen. And then more people will be involved in what we do, looking at our webpage and, you know, Twitter and everything else, or X or whatever it is. And that again goes down to that fandom that IMG want. They want more interaction from the media side. There's 300 odd million people live in America. You know, let's tap into that. And I think they're doing a great job. And it's good that our guys have gone over there.
Yeah, I spoke to, I think it's their CEO, Curtis Goddard, last season about it, told us all about, you know, what's going on behind the scenes there, you know, exciting times. He was sort of bang up for, you know, the link up and what, you know, what might happen regarding player development. I know there's lots of things going on behind the scenes in the rugby league, and these silly rules that they've got regarding, you know, players who aren't in the European, what's the word now? You know, like, you know, the group that they usually get rugby league players from, and if we're not able to sort of pick these players up, might cost us loads of money to get them in, which kind of really puts a bit of a risk then, because obviously you're bringing in a rookie from America and having to give him, let's say, 75 grand, let's say, to play. It's a massive risk for a club like Salford. So providing the rules haven't changed, but I don't think they have, we're probably waiting for that to happen because we want rugby league to grow, like you said, to all corners of the world. I know the NRL are in Las Vegas, trying to make a bigger statement there. The rugby league will need to look into that to give players who are on that side of the pond opportunity to come play at the highest level they can.
Yeah, I think it's just another stupid rule, but you don't want me ranting on about the RFL because, again, it could get even longer, this podcast. A crazy rule, but I mean, I understand you want to protect the players that are in your loop, if you like. We all want English players to come through or European players. Of course we do, but as much as anybody else, we have obviously we've got a link up with Red Star and that kind of, I don't understand why we can't just take the odd player from each, or maybe make a rule where, as a dispensation, you can have a player from outside that region. You can have one. He won't count on your cap. He won't do anything. It's a way of developing and getting people engaged. And I think sometimes, I'm going to say it anyway. Rugby league is small thinking all the time, and it's still run by people with small minds. It needs to expand. We need to expand the game. We need to realise that if we're going to survive in this modern world where the money is, we need to get out there. It's no good. The M62 is not going to keep rugby league alive, I'm afraid. So, I'd like to see us open it up. And then just, if you brought one in and let him come for a few months, might not work, might not be good. Okay, you go back. We'll get another one from the club that we're linked with, the Copperheads or Leeds have got one with Jacksonville, I think, or, whatever it is. If everyone did that, in 2, 3, 4 years' time, the American national team will be better. That, again, media coverage, it builds. Let's do it.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. Other news, we'll move on to our ladies now, Parker. Chris Bates, head coach, stepped down in the off-season. He got us promoted to the Super League, losing, unfortunately, in the grand final against Alton. He won the League Cup with a win against Wigan St. Pat's and got us to the semi-final and the playoffs. Obviously, Salford were a new club, a new team for him. Managed to mould this team of ladies together to be a promotion-winning Super League semi-final team.
Yeah, what a job! What a great job he did. Really, a big loss in many ways, but it's always difficult to start something, isn't it, and get it going. And it could have flopped, could have fell on its backside. We could have been rubbish. He didn't. He brought a load of girls together. A load of girls that had never played the game, never had. But he had connections. He knew people. He brought them in. He used his expertise to make them a decent side. And like you say, the progress they made under him was phenomenal. And now he set it up. It's those. I said at the time, those who played in that first season, no one will be able to do that again. No one will be the first at what they do. And he was the first coach. He was the man who got the ball rolling. So any success coming any further down the line can be attributed to what he started and what he put in place back then. We can do nothing but thank him really for what he did.
Yeah, and he really, he was a really nice bloke as well. Real rugby league bloke, really protective of his players, as well. And I can't thank him enough for what he did for this, for the podcast, allowing us sort of access, and helping us grow sort of the ladies' brand, really. I'm sort of indebted to him really for what we were able to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a nice character, and what, like I say, what he's done is he's probably made it difficult for somebody now, hasn't he? Because they've now got to follow in his footsteps and make it better than what he did. Now, I'm not sure how you do that. I mean, in 2 years we've come from zero to being we were a Super League side, last season. How that happens when there's far more established teams in them leagues, teams with players who've been playing for years. What he did was first class, and like you say, he gave us access to things that probably other clubs didn't get, other podcasts wouldn't get. Full of respect for him, and I just wish him all the best.
Yeah, and you know what? The biggest, obviously in the ladies' game, the biggest robbery I think ever is the fact that our ladies have now been so I wouldn't say relegated, but put back down to the Championship in the big rugby league restructure. And I was like, when I read it, it was like as big as, remember when they played the was it the Sevens at the Salford Stadium and didn't invite us as the guest team.
Yeah.
And now I mean, the ladies have worked so hard.
Yeah.
You get to the Super League playoff semi-final, beaten narrowly by Lee, and then the league decide to pull the rug from under the feet and they're back in the Championship again. I think it's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mince my words. I think I think our ladies team are the most exciting rugby league team, ladies team in the game. And the way the RFL has treated them is nothing short of disgusting for me.
You sound surprised, Rob. You sound surprised that these idiots who run our game would do something like that. Look, at the end of the day, we've got to start again. The girls have got to put up behind them and start fresh. They didn't deserve to be relegated, demoted, I suppose it is somewhere. I don't really know how to put it, but it doesn't surprise me. You work so hard to get somewhere, and then somebody just decides, at the stroke of a pen, no, we're not having that. We're gonna change that now. We're gonna move that. Well, all that hard work that people have put in, they're in their own time. Let's not forget these girls do that.
Yeah.
And it's just the rug's been pulled from underneath them, and now they've got to go backwards through no fault of their own. The club, these ladies, our ladies team has done nothing but go forward for 2 years, and all of a sudden you've got to take a step back. Well, no, that's not right. Would they have done that to a bigger club, shall we say? No, is the answer. Wigan, Leeds, Saints, Wire, no, wouldn't have happened. So, just when people think I'm being a bit, the RFL and Super League, the people who run the game genuinely haven't got a clue what goes into doing what these people do.
So, with Chris Bates departing, Mike Grady has come in as new head coach for the 2024 season. His first job was at Woolston in 2013. He coached Wales Select Rugby League in 2013. Then he went to the Wales Dragonheart head coach between 2013 and 2014. He was part of the South Wales Scorpions, the Northwest Crusaders. He got them to the final of, I think it might have been League One or Championship in 2017. Yeah. Then he went to Rochdale Hornets as assistant coach and got them to the League One semi-final. He was at Widnes under John Kay, and he was also the Spanish national head coach. So that's levels, isn't it? Really, when you think about Widnes assistant coach, Spanish national head coach, that shows the sort of the standard that the club have brought in.
Yeah, some resume that. Yeah, I mean, I also think when you get somebody like that involved, players pay attention. Players from other clubs would look and think, I won't mind being coached by him. With that experience, what he knows, we could pick up a lot of players from a lot of clubs through that one appointment alone. I knew he'd obviously been at Widnes, and I knew he'd had quite an involvement with Wales, with the rugby league in Wales, but I didn't realise it was that in depth. Really, I mean that's quite a lot. And I mean, to come from being an assistant coach at Widnes to being our ladies head coach, which is it's not going to be very financially beneficial to him, I wouldn't have thought, but to make that commitment shows that he really wants to do the job, because I'm sure he could have gone many places and picked up a job, but no, I like that. I think that's brilliant. I think it sounds like a really good appointment.
Yeah, and obviously we've got Dawn and we've got Matt and that sort of pyramid coaching structure there. The wealth of rugby league experience in that group. They've been there. Dawn and Matt have both been there before. They were part of that the pyramid that got us back into Super League, and with Mike on the top of that pyramid now, coaching players who I know they had held a trial which was very successful, brought some new faces in. We're looking forward to seeing them in action in 2024. But yeah, exciting time. Like I said, they've done it once. They know what to expect, and they'll go and do it again.
Yeah, very much so. And I think obviously the girls have learnt a lot. Those that were here for the last couple of years have picked up a lot in the last couple of years. They'll learn a lot of him. And hopefully next year we'll just bounce straight back to where we should be, where we deserve to be. And we can start talking about the success again and the great times that we've had recently with the ladies. I'm looking forward to it. Actually, it should be another good season, depending on what they do and when they start and how many fixtures they get allowed to play. But it should be good. Just while we're on ladies, by the way, I've got to give a mention to the Folly Lane Ladies Masters team.
Oh yeah,
we're looking for more recruits. So if you're a lady of 30 plus years, which there aren't many, I know that, I understand that. Most are all under 30, most women. If you fancy going down and having a crack, any ability, and it's tackle or it's grab or it's tig, depending on your level, what you want to do. It's all about what colour shorts you wear. I mean, it's very confusing when you're watching it to get your head around it, but it's brilliant to watch, to be honest. And there's been some real good players. I watched the game at the end of last season, the last couple of games, and there was a girl on one of the sides who was an ex-England and St. Helens player who's just got to that age now where she's retired. So, I think that's a great place to go if you think, I can't play rugby now or whatever. There's women in them teams. I think Megan Conliffe, her mum plays, and I think even her gran.
Wow.
I think they play for Lee East. I'm not sure. I think so. So it just shows that you can be any level, any age, doesn't matter.
Yeah, and it's opportunity to keep fit and be fit in it physically. Instead of going to the gym or running the streets, you could get involved in that and become part of a team and have a good time playing the sport that you love.
Yeah, and I mean, I know at the moment when they've been training, they've got indoor training at the moment because obviously the weather's awful. But and they had their presentation the other night. Now I'm sure you can imagine a group of ladies who love playing rugby league, like to party, like to have fun, let their hair down. So you've got the social side of it. That's the other big thing. You make, obviously you make a lot of friends, and it's a bit of fun. But yeah, just to give a mention. There are other ladies teams out there. Obviously, I know Goulburn have got one, Lee East have got one. But obviously, Folly being local, if you want to go and have a crack, go and do it.
Yeah. Other news, Parker. Our wheelchair team have got a new coach, David Abdul. He's an assistant coach for Scotland International wheelchair team. Him and Heather are looking to build a competitive squad in 2024 and looking to play more games as well. Exciting. We talked about our wheelchair team last season, and 12 months on, more people wanting to get involved, bigger profile, more games to come.
Yeah, when you said that, why do I know that name, David Abdul? It's not a new name on me. That I do know that. I don't know quite why, but yeah, no, obviously what they do, these guys, Heather and the whole team, is brilliant. I mean, the game itself, we've spoken about 1,000 times how brilliant it is to watch and how much fun it must be to take part in if you're an absolute lunatic. It's pretty physical, isn't it? But it's brilliant. It's so fast. So yeah, that'd be good if you can get a few more games together and hopefully get a few more people going down and having a crack. And I don't know how it works. All the wheelchairs where they come from, who supplies all that. I mean, again, it's a financial burden that somebody's put in. I'm not sure how that works, but no, they do. I mean, do a great job, and it is a brilliant sport to watch. It really is, and I think it's just going to keep growing. And like I say, you don't have to be wheelchair bound to play the sport. You just need to be in a wheelchair, and I think it's brilliant.
Plus, being coached by an international coach.
Yeah.
Him and Heather together creating this, wonderful team. Obviously, we talk about the learning development team, the physical disabilities team. the ladies team, and this team all playing for the badge, playing for Salford, and it's a great thing. We talked about how the club's grown over the years, and it's just another string in the bow.
Yeah, very much. And the thing is with this, that actually anybody can be involved. You know, obviously you have to be a lady to play in the ladies team for now. I'm not getting into that debate, but you know, physical disability, learning disability, speak for himself. You know, the wheelchair, you could just go and do it, and you can go and play and represent Salford. I mean, it's a dream, really, isn't it? That's what I wanted to do from when I could walk, I think. So, yeah, one day when I get myself back to full strength, once I've had my inside transferred, I think I will give it a crack. I've got to get back into walking rugby first, and then everything else build up to this, because I'm definitely not ready for them collisions yet. But so that'll be that's on the list for me.
Walking rugby, John Blackburn Mondays, Eccles College.
Yeah,
I think it's started in 2024. I think the next one.
Yeah,
exciting.
Hopefully, once I'm fixed and ready, that'll be my next step, and then we'll move on. And Masters rugby might come eventually. We'll see.
Or reserves.
Might make first team at the moment. Look at the squad.
Played hooker. You could do.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's a fair point.
So let's move on now, Park. We've done the news. Let's look back at 2023 season. 7th place finish. Played 27, won 13, lost 14, minus 18 points, scoring points, and 26 points in the table. Thoughts?
As I mentioned earlier, I think overall we can only look at the season as a success. Yes, we didn't make the 6. A lot of things went against us from the start of the season. Obviously we lost Dan Sargentson early on without playing a game, and then other players fell by the wayside. We had a small squad. We got a lot of injuries last season, more so than I think we have done in recent years. I always think we've been quite lucky. And there were a few games that were taken away from us that we certainly didn't deserve to lose. I can think of 2 definitely, and those 4 points, you're in the top 6. Who knows from there? We were putting a bit of a run at the end of the season. There were games that were disappointing, some really real shockers last season at times, but then there were some real highs. So overall, for a club with probably the smallest budget in the Super League, and the smallest squad, we finished 7th, and we took it to the last game of the season to make the 6. I don't see that as a bad year at all.
Yeah, I think. Am I disappointed? I think with the injuries and, like you say, games that were taken away / we threw away, and I do often talk on this podcast about having to finish in a playoff spot on a run of years for the people of Salford to wake up about how good this team is. And I still stand by that a bit, but with the IMG thing and all the good things that are happening behind the scenes at the club, engaging with the community, 7th place finish is a good finish. Obviously, we've had a few years where 7th place finish would be a dream, wouldn't it? But we need to be looking about going forward, don't we? And I think 7th is a good finish, but it could have been so much more.
Yeah, it could have been. I think, like I said, if we'd have had a bit more luck, that was the one thing for me. A little bit more luck in certain games, we would have made the 6. I've got no doubt about that. I mean, at the start of the season, every year you look at what the bookies think, and what would they have said for Salford last year? They'd have said 6th or 7th, and they're very, very rarely wrong. When you look at the squads on, I mean, you look at what Warrington just scraped in there with the budget that they've got and the money that they've spent. Leeds and Hull finished below us. These are massive clubs with big budgets, big crowds, everything else. We're out of our depth in that point. I mean, you look at what Lee and Ulkayar did last year, and you can't help but doff your cap. Certainly Lee, the way they came up and started, it was tough to start with. Obviously we beat them twice early in the season, and but you get that they're taking teams by surprise. People would have probably underestimated them a little bit. They got on a roll. Once you're on a roll, anything can happen. Like, 2019 with us, you go all the way to a grand final. They got to a cup final and won it. So they're freak things that happen. Will it happen again this year? I'm not so sure. Lee at the signing, well, don't get me wrong, but nobody will be surprised by Lee this year. So they could easily drop out of that. So it can all turn around. Everything can change. Do you think Leeds will be as bad next year? Probably not. Well, who do they replace in that top six? It's tough. This year for us will be tough. But last year, for me, yes, I thought there were times where we could have easily finished in the top six. We could have finished in the top four with certain results. That's how it works. But it didn't. And I think we punched well above our weight. You look at the times we were at the season when we were struggling. We didn't have props or things like. We're going to the game just shuffling the pack about. Paul Rowley's picking players out of nowhere, and we still achieved something. And the disruption behind the scenes. Don't forget, we were in financial crisis. That takes its toll. Players don't know if they're going to get paid. They don't know if they're going to have a job. Tyler Dupree, the whole thing, the circus around that, what was going on. It's a whole sort of raft of issues for us last year, and we did well to sail through it. And I'm reasonably happy with sixth. I think seventh. I think it was a decent effort from us.
Yeah, I think being the best of the rest is a good jumping off point.
Yeah.
Looking at the stats though, Parker, tries we scored 79, which is 10th place in the Super League. Really, we talk about rally ball, we talk about the way we like to play, but we need more. That's the big thing.
I don't think rollerball worked last year. I'll be brutally honest with you. The year before, again, people were surprised by us. People weren't surprised this year. They understood. They knew how good Brodie Croft was. They cut him down in games. They stopped him playing. You stopped Brodie playing, you generally stopped Salford playing. We had spells where we had a couple of spells with Andy Ackers, who's a great hooker for us, but he had a couple of spells out with injury. That didn't help. You're losing your spine of your team. And that was a bit of a, that was a worry. Ollie Partington started the season like house on fire, got injured. Like I say, Tyler Dupree was brilliant, and then his mind seemed to drift a little bit, and we know what happened with that. I just think that our style of play needed to change last year, and we didn't adapt quick enough. I think towards the back end of the season we did. We learned to get in the game. Don't just throw the ball about and expect to win. That earlier in the season we played Hull KR at home, and we were dreadful. We couldn't hold the ball. I think we made 14 handling errors in one half or something. You can't do that and win games. But that was because we played that hot potato rugby. Sometimes stick it with your jumper, get into the opposition's half, win the territorial battle, and then play rugby. That's what we needed, and we didn't learn quick enough. I think we just thought it was going to happen again. We're just going to start tearing teams apart. Teams have latched onto what we've done. So we need a change of style, and that was part of the problem for me last season, and that's why we didn't score as many tries as we should, because we didn't get in the opposition's half enough, because we dropped the ball in our own half.
Yeah, stats do back that up, Parker. We made a total of 31,450 metres last season, which put us 10th in the Super League metre making table. Our average gain was 6 metres a carry, which put us 11th, and we only made 106 clean breaks, which puts us in 10th in the clean break Super League table, which kind of shows where the problems are.
Well, those stats alone say you finish in the bottom three. Simple as that. So something saved us, and whatever that was. But yeah, our attack last year, we said it a lot of times, we had no go forward. Our props weren't good enough, weren't big enough, weren't making enough meters. I think King came on a little bit towards the end of the season. Brad Singleton added a bit when he came in. But there were other times where certain individuals just didn't do enough and didn't get us in positions where Brodie Croft, Mark Sneyd, Tim Laffey, Kenny Seal, Ryan Braille score tries, do what they do. You can't do that in your own 20. or 30-metre mark, and then you're kicking, you turn them around, but they're back in your half before you've done anything. We need to sort of win the forward battle, and that's it's a worry going forward, because at the moment I don't see that happening. But the other thing I didn't mention, by the way, was loss of Shane Wright. That was huge for us. I don't think people realise how good Shane Wright is and what he does for the team. He's an excellent player, and getting him back this year could be like a new signing.
Yeah, and we're also the most penalised team in Super League with 200 penalties conceded. Finished top of the Super League penalty table, which is another factor, because if you're not making enough meters and you're giving away silly penalties, you're absorbing ball, you're absorbing tackles, and eventually the dam will burst. So that'll be an interesting situation, what happens in the off season with the new rules about to come in, and how Paul Rowley manages that. I know he likes his teams to be aggressive, and I think it's really a fine line. Lots of our penalties are fine line technical penalties, so it'd be interesting to see how he changes that.
Yeah, it was too many to play the ball for me. Hand in, lying on, all that. But the thing is, because we were losing collision, because our forwards weren't big enough, we were going backwards. We had to hold down a little bit longer to slow the play down, to stop them doing some, put your hand on the ball, just try and stop them getting a roll on. That was part of the problem for me. I think we need to muscle up more up front and stop that happening. And then once you start conceding penalties, it drains the tank, and you're gonna concede. And I think that's something we're gonna have to look into and sort out. But like you say, the discipline was infuriating. There are times in the season, and I did say it throughout the year, that we got penalised for things that the other teams weren't getting penalised for, and that was. Paul Rowley said it himself and got a £4 fine. He's quite straightforward. You could see it by watching it. I mean, the Leeds game alone was it was the worst refereeing performance I've ever seen. And I remember listening to JMR on the way home, and everybody was going mad about it. And even Jack said that it's not cheating; it was just a terrible refereeing performance. We were getting penalised for things that Leeds were doing twice as bad, but it didn't happen. They didn't get penalised for it, and you're like, come on, be transparent about this, and that things like that don't help. But we've got to help ourselves. It's got to be cleaner.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, referees will come into the club. They'll tell them what they expect the players to do in certain situations, and we'll see if we're off we'll hopefully get towards the bottom of the table in 2024. Positives, though, Parky, we made 8,385 tackles, which put us 5th place in the Super League tackling table, and we were top of the Super League marker tackling table with 1,597 marker tackles.
I can only see that as a negative. Doing too many tackles. Why are we tackling all the time? Why are we doing more tackles than anybody else in an 80-minute game? Because we're not holding the ball, and we're giving away penalties. I see defence as a negative. I know you need a strong defence, but I'd rather us do less tackles and finish bottom of the tackle league, but score more tries. I don't see that. I know what you're saying. I get it, but it just proves that we've got to work harder than everybody else.
When I read the marker tackle one, I was like, we're reading the play better, because they know which way he's going to go. So they're jumping out from the play the ball to get him before he gets a chance to run away. But like you said, if you're absorbing tackles, you're tackling more, aren't you? So they've got to stop giving away silly penalties and have the ball more.
The other side, which is another negative, is that it was probably Andy Ackers doing most of the marker tackles.
Yeah.
But we haven't got him now. And we haven't got a hooker. So again, not a great stat for us, that, unfortunately. But I get what you mean, and if you do read the play, you do stop them running, then great. But I'd rather us do no defending at all.
Yeah. Talking about highlights of 2024, what games stood out for you the most?
I think Hull FC away, obviously, early on in the season, massively unexpected. I think the way we performed that day, we just ripped them apart. And I know Hull didn't have a great season, but nobody saw that coming. Some of the tries we scored were just spectacular, absolutely unbelievable. I think beating Lee away twice is actually quite a highlight for me, because especially the first game, because that was a real banana skin. It's on Sky. Lee have come up, the big crowd, big party atmosphere. Everybody, I think most of the people in rugby league expected us to slip, and we didn't. We were professional that night. We worked. That was a game where we worked into the game. We weren't all flash or anything. We tried hard, we battled, and we won, and that's what happened. The Warrington game, the golden point try. I mean, it doesn't get any more dramatic than that. And it was a good game of rugby league that I really enjoyed. I thought both teams and Warrington come down with a big crowd, and I think it was the day we, I don't know if celebrated is the right word, but celebrated the life of David Watkins as well. So it kind of seemed apt that kind of game was on, and that was a great day. I think that was probably one of the real highlights when we scored that try. I mean, wow, the place went absolutely mental. I don't think I've seen the AJ Bell celebrate like that. It was absolutely brilliant. I'm trying to think of other games.
I've got
Huddersfield away. Was it Huddersfield away when we ripped them apart? Was brilliant. We were great that night. We were absolutely superb. Again, that was a night we went there. We were a bit battered and bruised. We didn't have a full sort of complement of players, and obviously everything that goes with that game at the moment. We went there. We were first class that evening.
I've got Wakefield home drop goal win for that one. Golden point drop goal win by Sneed. I think obviously our sort of development, being in tight games and coming out the other end, shows the progress we're making, and players will learn from that when it comes to more serious situations, hopefully in 2024. Like you said, the Warrington, Sam Stone golden point try, Catalan at home was another good one. But obviously we talk about that, and for me, Parker, the turning point in the whole season was Hull Kingston Rovers away cup defeat, which going into that game, we were on a bit of a roll. Confidence was up, and we lost badly. And for me, it just affected our whole season after that, because after that game, we only won 3 out of the next 12.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think we beat Ulcar at Magic, which was a great game. Then we went away and battered Cass at Cass. And then we went there thinking, Ulcar have got about 6 or 7 players missing, key players. We can go there. We can get this. We can do this. And I know the team wanted Wembley. That was their aim this year. That was the big goal for the club, I think, and for the team. And to not turn up, because that's what it was. It wasn't they just didn't turn up. We don't Rovers most of the time. We don't against them. I don't know why. But we didn't turn up. It was a complete negative performance. And, yeah, it probably did ruin our season. It probably was the turning point. I'd say another one for me was Saints away, when we lost Shane Wright that day to a terrible tackle, but we'll leave that. Was we'd gone into something like a 10 or 12 point lead away at Saints. We were on a roll. We were flying, and we let them score just before half time. And I knew then that was game over. I just knew that we couldn't. We didn't have that mental attitude about us. And we were going to Saints, and Paul Rowley said about changing attitudes and the fact that we go to Saints, we don't win. All right? If we'd have gone in 12-0 up at half time, or managed to sneak a drop goal and gone in 13-0, I think that day we would have beat them. But as soon as they scored, we seemed to sort of go, here we go. And it drained us. And that was a killer. Because if you win away at Saints for the first time in 40 years, what a lift that is for your season. You go on to the next week, you are buzzing. Instead, you're coming away going, we threw that away. Oh, we got beat there. So, yeah, that was a turning point for me as well.
Which obviously disappoints you, because I think if we were able to carry on that momentum, we shown in the early start of the season.
Yeah.
We'd have been comfortably playoffs. I know we had injuries. I know we had suspensions, and it's kind of a sort of a rolling rock in it. When it starts with injuries and lost a bit of form, you start losing players, and you struggle to get back on the arse, don't you? Sometimes, and I think that's what might happen. Happen there in that last 12 games of the season, and like you said, to be in the mix for a playoff spot in that last game, even though it was, against the odds, really shows sort of how much the players wanted it. And and we talk about what happens next. I'm sure the players will remember that defeat at Hull Kingston Rovers and use that as fuel to motivate themselves ready for 2024, because we know they're good enough to be competing at the very top of Super League. And if we get a decent run in the cup, we could get to a Challenge Cup final as well. So, that this team and this club is going places. We've just got to remain focused and get the job done.
Yeah, I mean, the Challenge Cup's 3 games.
You're
in the final, whatever. I mean, it doesn't seem hard, does it? You go on a run like that at any point, but for us, it's very difficult. I think there was another point in the season where we played Leeds, Lee, and Saints at home. Not because there was a break in between, and we lost all 3, and we should have won all 3. I know the Leeds game was taken away from us. I also think the Lee game was taken away from us, and the Saints game again we threw away.
Yeah,
we had Saints again, and we threw it away. If you win one of those, there's a playoff shot.
Yeah.
You win 2 of those, you're in the playoffs. They're at home. There were big crowds. It was it was the time to strike. And we didn't have the players. We did have injuries. I get that, but in all the games we had a chance of winning them all and didn't. And I know a couple of them weren't particularly our fault as such, but I think the Saints game we had Saints worried, and then they just came back and did us, and that's a killer. But we were in the games. That's the other side of it. So, yeah, it could have gone either way. But it's little periods of seasons like that, and you go, if only.
Yeah, we've had a few of them over the years, but this one, because like you say, we're only 2 points off. Yeah. So even one, if we get one of them 6 where we think we could have, should have, you're in the playoffs. It shows how far we've come as a club and as a team, when before we'd been 4 or 5, 6 points adrift. So you wouldn't be looking, you'll be talking, if you've just won that, we'd be in. We would literally be in. And that's what makes me before, when I was thinking, is it a failure or not? It's not, because of all the circumstances we had to go through. But it is disappointing, because I look at the bigger picture. I look at the people of Salford. I look at the people outside our bubble who are looking at this team and the club figure finished outside the playoffs again. They don't have the background of why. But we've got a team here that stays fit, and we're able to get a few more bodies in. We're going to compete.
Yeah, I think the only thing is about those 3 games I mentioned, the Leeds and Saints, was the public of Salford did turn up.
I know.
We got big crowds, so they did see what happened. It's the games where you don't see and you read it in the paper the next day. They're the ones that are the problem. Yeah. But we've got to build on that, and we've got to get crowds like that every week. It's going to be difficult because there's not been enough positivity around the club recently. But who knows? As the season goes on next year, they put a few more of them days on that they had, and who knows? The public might flock back.
Yeah, I think they will, Park. I think it's an exciting time to be a Salford fan. Paul Rowley, his coaching staff, the players, all ready to rock into 2024. Let's move on to our ladies. Parker, they were beaten in the playoff semi-final against Lee. Successful first Super League season for them. Wins at Castleford, wins at Bradford, I think. Unfortunately, beaten by Lee.
Yeah, and we were in that. We could have won that. I mean, the level up from where we were is a big step. Teams like Lee and Barrow and Fev and people like that, they're all a lot more experienced and further down the line than we are. So to be competing with that, to make it into them playoffs is a success. That is a success. And again, last season, we lost player after player throughout the year. We had so many times where the team changed and people were swapping positions. If you're new to the game and you're just getting used to what you do, and then you've got to go and move to somewhere else, or a new player comes in because so-and-so's injured and you're not used to them, it makes a big difference. There's no time to train with, they're not full-time. It just happens on the day. So yeah, overall, we can't be anything but delighted with what we achieved last year, and I think there's a lot more to come now from the ladies. A lot of them a lot more experienced again. They've played against good players, so I think overall, I think the season's been a bit of a success.
Yeah, another exciting season to come. Obviously, back into the championship, but you could go through the team from 1 to 17 plus the squad and highlight great moments for each of them. But I think the important thing as a team, they are going full pelt every week. They play attractive rugby. They like to throw the ball about. They score great tries. They've got strike. They've got big forwards as well. And it's if you've not had the chance to get down there to watch our ladies play, I urge you to get down there if you can in 2024.
Yeah, probably need a couple of replacements now. I know, don't we? Vicky Kinney obviously has gone back home. I don't know what's happening to Skipper.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether she's going another year or not. I don't know what's happening there. But there is a lot of talent in that team. A lot of really good players. And like you say, they've had trials. They've brought new players in. Players who may have had more experience as well will join the club. So it is an exciting time, and next season again, I know they've had to take a little step backwards, but that might be another chance to get on a winning run, against teams that we've already played and beaten in the past. And who knows, we might be getting silverware again next year.
Yeah, going to be exciting. Like you said, new coach, new faces coming into nucleus of a squad there that's pulled up some great performances and good wins over the last couple of years, and I'm sure they'll be doing it all again in 2024. So that's the end of this podcast, Parker. Another great show. This is our New Year's podcast, so it'll be exciting. What's your plans for 2024? What's your New Year's resolution, and what should be Salford's New Year's resolution for 2024?
I never make resolutions.
Do you not?
Oh, I know I'd never stick to anything. I never do. I mean, it's easy for me to say don't touch alcohol because I've not done for 2 years, best part of. So
no, you miss it.
No, not one bit. It's quite easy. Probably get more exercise. I think that'd be one of them. But overall, I think for me personally, I just get my life sorted, get my health sorted. I think that's the big key, and that's not something that I can control. So that's just but that's a hope. For Salford, it's compete. Just compete. I mean, I can only go off what we know now. What we'll know in 2 months' time is completely different. There may be more new players. There may be, anything can happen in that time. We need a bit of luck. We'll definitely need luck. As it stands, the squad's small and a couple of players in there have got another year older. It's not ideal. But the fighters, and we've got Paul Rowley, and he for me is the key to everything that we do and anything we're going to achieve. So a bit of luck, and I think the team realistically, I'd love them to see have a crack at the cup. I think the boost it'd give, both financially and just for the city and everything, putting on the high. See, people are skeptical about Super League because it changes all the time, because you have to finish in the top 6 and then you can get to a grand final. If you finish top, you're not deemed the champions. People outside this bubble of rugby league look at it a little bit like, if you're a football fan, they go, well, why don't you just finish top and win the league and then have it's difficult. The cup turns heads. And that's what we need. And we've not done it since 1938. So it's about time we did. I think that'd be nice. I think bring the cup home and let's have a bit of a celebration. Let's get high. And I think the boost it would give the club, the city, and everybody else, I think that'd be what I would really want from the boys.
Yeah. My New Year's resolution is only worry about the things I can affect. because sometimes I worry about stuff that I have no power or control over, and hope that something happens or the ball bounces right or whatever. So yeah, worry about things that I can affect. The podcast wise, continue to grow.
Yeah.
Continue to improve our output regarding highlights
Yeah.
and things that we do, and hopefully continue to provide great rugby league content for our listeners who have stuck by us for the last 10 years, listening to us talk all thing Salford Red Devils every week, and been on this journey with us. So I can't thank them enough for being there. Also for the club, their New Year's resolution probably would be don't give as many penalties away. That'd be my resolution. Try to count to 10 before you get angry. That'd be my New Year's resolution if I was a club man.
And if there is one big hope that I want, it's for one of us to win the Euro.
Think so.
And then just buy the club, for Christ's sake. It's get us out of this mess, and then we can all be happy. Just one fan, that's all it takes. One fan to win it and go, I'm doing that.
Would you want to be a sort of a anonymous donor, or would you want to be involved? Would you want to be sat in a boardroom looking at Paul King saying, what are you going to do now, this money? Or would you just say, hey Paul, here's 5 mil, and just put me as like a random business that nobody really cared about, and use that to take us to the next level?
Hell no, I want the adoration. I want to be carried round on people's shoulders.
Right.
No. In all seriousness, no. The people who run the club do a great job. I'd like to see more bodies in there. That'd be one thing. More staff. But I'd like to know what was going on and be able to help in any way. But I'd leave the professionals to do the job. I wouldn't meddle with anything. I think the way the club is now trying to balance books and do things wisely. Stay within your means, but if you've got a little bit more, if your means are a little bit wider, then everybody's happy. That'd be my thing. But yeah, so if anyone out there, just remember, put the Euro on, please. One of us needs to win it soon, and that was courtesy of Mr. P. King, apparently.
Yeah, I thought it was Marwan Mark II coming then for a minute.
I will build a water park.
Yes, indeed. So big thanks for joining us on this Devil in the Detail podcast. We wish you a happy new year to you and your family. Big thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon for more Salford Red Devils chat. I'm Bruno Parkinson. That's been Paul Parkin, and you can find us on Devil in the Detail SRD. You can find us on Twitter at DITDSRD, and you can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Radio Contact, Spotify, and YouTube. Happy New Year, Reds. We'll see you soon.